I've been aware of freedom of speech issues when it comes to the health movement and the truth about that, because when they talk about, you can't use the word cancer and cure together, that's illegal, that you can't do that. And I'll tell you that right now, one of my staff members in December went back. We've been treating people with immune deficiency, i.e. cancer, HIV, all these things, because that's what it is. Cancer is not the problem. Cancer is a symptom of, you cannot have cancer if your immune system's intact. The only way you can get cancer is if your immune system's been damaged. And as of December, we had 14 patients, 14 patients with stage 4 cancer, terminal, 6 months left to live, 3 months, whatever, is metastatic disease. 14 cancer patients that are now 15 years out since we treated them. One of them is over 20 years out. Now, when they say cancer, remember, once you stage 4, it's terminal and there's nothing left, and they refer to hospice. When you start looking at things like that, or autism is incurable. There's no such thing as autism. Autism is toxicity. Autism is, simply stated, and again, I know we're not here to talk about cancer or autism, but I just want to give you the background of how this misinformation that's been going on for decades. Autism is nothing more than mercury toxicity on board of physiology with a genetic predisposition for the inability to excrete mercury. And people say, well, it's not just mercury, it's mercury. I have treated 3,800 kids, and our protocol has been used in some fashion or form or some level of it by over 1,800 doctors. Almost 40,000 kids worldwide have been treated with some partial form of our treatment. And I can tell you that it's only mercury. Mercury causes denudation of the neurofibrils. Nothing else causes that. That's where this misinformation campaign stops, and the world can then truly get back on the fair, even playing field, so that people like you with a message about self-improvement and empowerment and giving people knowledge, and people like me that are trying to just let people know, empowering them with knowledge so that they can live a healthier life, so that they can understand that the more important thing that you need to be aware of if you don't want cancer is how you eat and how you drink and what you breathe and how you live your life and your thought process, not your freaking genetic code that has nothing to do with it, but that the mainstream media has pushed the agenda and created the genome. The whole freaking genome thing has been another misinformation campaign. Earthworm has 20,000 genes. The human system has 20,000 genes, but we have over 100,000 known proteins. We have more that we haven't elucidated, we haven't discovered yet, but there's 100,000 proteins. And the genomic model is that a gene defines a protein. Yet if we have 100,000 proteins, then how can 20,000 genes define 100,000 proteins? And the answer is they don't. One gene, depending on how it expresses itself, can define many, many proteins. And that's why the term epigenetics is so important. That's basically the philosophy that my friend Bruce Lipton, who impacted my career in a massive way 17 years ago, because I was getting all these results. I didn't understand how I was getting these results. And then I listened to a bootleg copy of Bruce's work and realized, oh my God, that's what I'm doing. I'm just changing the signal. I'm changing the environment. I'm changing the external environment to a certain level, but I'm changing the body's internal environment, causing the gene to express differently because the signal that I'm giving the gene is different. That's why the proteins that are being expressed now are different proteins and the people get healthy. Not having your breast amputated because of the BRCA gene, that's the most idiotic thing. Again, misinformation. The campaign of misinformation to the public, to the world's global economy has been over and over the same thing, Brian. They are messing with people's lives. When you make a mistake, it may be one thing. When doctors make a mistake, people die. And they have created and perpetrated mistake after mistake. And they should be held criminally responsible. Not legally, not financially, all that too, but criminally. They need to be sent to jail for misinforming the public on important things that have cost lives. Right now, we have the ability to turn the tables for the benefit of mankind. Now, in my world, as I grew up and as I went through general surgery and I could see the cancer, you can see it, you can cut it out, you can throw it down, you can spit it on, you can stomp on it, it's done. And then 6 months later, it comes back again. And it's like, why is it coming back? Because we never dealt with the issue. And cancer is just a symptom. That's just a symptom. It's not the problem. Cancer tells us that there's something underlying that's wrong, and that's the cancer is a symptomology. So why is it Cancer Day? And that's what we have to do. That's how we've gotten the results that we've gotten, and people from all over the world without any advertising, is because we were able to come to the causation aspect, the etiological component, and fix that. Now, what is the cause of this cancer, of COVID-19 and this pandemic? We need to look at the cause of it. We need to look at the etiological component, and that is misinformation. Now, in the self-improvement aspect, I was talking about when my father taught us, guided us on this path of self-improvement. There was a book that he shared with me by W. Clement Stone. And in that book was a little poem. And the poem was, I argued with life for a penny, only to be dismayed that anything I would have asked of life, life would have paid. But if you start looking at the way the Creator designed the planet, we are on a planet of abundance. When you look at a field, can you count the number of blades of grass in a field? And then look at the number of fields on the planet, or grains of sand on a beach, and then the number of beaches on the planet, or the number of leaves on a tree, and then how many trees are there on the planet? We are living on the most abundant, rich, resource-rich planet in our solar system. And so why should we be fearful of resources? Look, there's already technology that allows cars to run on water, on electricity. We've got free energy, all these people that have these technologies, and they're suppressed by what? By industry, by people. I'm a capitalist, but I believe that capitalism should be allowed to compete on an even playing field, not by those that have a vested interest in oil or vested interest in one computer system, whatever. It should be an even playing field. If I was on an even playing field with the rest of the medical community, guess what? Nobody would be going through chemo and radiation, because it would be even. The truth would be seen, and people would be seeing, let me start with these other things. Sabiston, the father of surgery, Sabiston, in his textbook of surgery, says that surgery is the ultimate admission of defeat. What makes a surgeon truly superior is the preoperative and the postoperative care. But we in medicine, we start looking at the data. Do you know that the number of people that die from conditions that can be surgically corrected is the same in the United States as in Canada and in the UK? But yet in Canada, they do twice as many surgeries as in the UK. In the United States, we do 4 times as many surgeries as the UK. We do twice as many as Canada. So why are we doing all these unnecessary surgeries? Because the death rate is exactly the same from the number of surgeries. It's again what Sabiston, from the textbook of surgery, the father of surgery, said. It's the preoperative and postoperative care. So then why are we doing all these extra surgeries? Well, because the surgeons need to drive their Mercedes too, right? So I'm not speaking out against doctors, but I have a very, very intolerant attitude towards my profession, because my profession, when we make mistakes, people die. And if doctors had spoken up in time, then maybe some of this could have been prevented. But at a certain point, you have to understand that that the truth is always going to come out, right? It may take, my dad always used to say this, no matter what anybody says, it may take a week, it may take a month, it may take a year, it may take thousands of years, but the truth will always sustain itself. And we are at that point in history right now that we must, as a global population, as a citizens of this planet, not as citizens of the United States or the UK or this country, that country, as a planetary population, recognize that, one, we are all connected. Literally, we're all connected. If you study quantum physics, you already understand that. But we are all connected, and our differences have been accentuated over the decades and over hundreds of years. Our religion, our creed, our ethnicity, our color of our skin, to create diversion. It's the same thing as saying China created a bioweapon, whereas taking the responsibility away from the United States for shutting down the economy. It's that type of division. It's always division, right? If you think about it, divide and conquer. That's an old saying. So you first divide the populace and then you conquer them. So I'm asking for people to unite. And my message, Dr. Lipton's message and Nia's message that we put out that was censored by certain media, it got out there. It was surreal to get videos sent to me from Russia showing your message is getting out, and people are congregating, people are coming together, and the police trying to break it up. I have asked for every law enforcement officer, every military individual, anybody who's served in the military, active duty or retired, I have asked them to remember the oath that they took to protect and defend the U.S. Constitution against all enemies, foreign and domestic. And I'm not asking for people to riot like some people are saying. That's ridiculous. We are a nation, a free nation, and we are the United States. And the world is a free nation. It's up to us to now define what that freedom means. Instead of wars being pitted against each other, we need to start looking at the similarities and see the similarities between ourselves. And then we can understand how this agenda began, how this agenda has gotten perpetrated, how COVID-19, all the governments became complicit. Not all the leaders are bad leaders. Some of these people are good people and they're trying to do the best they can, but some of them are complicit. And it may not be the leaders, it may be the people who surround the leaders. It needs to be flushed out, Brian. It needs to be flushed out, discovered, and those people, as far as I'm concerned, should be hung for treason, for against all their respective countries that they've committed treason against. Because if you shut down the economy, people are dying right now. Suicide. Dr. Erickson, I believe, in his report was talking about the side effects of this epidemic, right? Of this pandemic, or what they say now they call it the plandemic. The side effects of this, the side numbers that nobody's talking about, the number of child abuse cases that have gone up, the number of domestic violence cases that have gone up, the number of suicides that have gone up, the number of people that are so distressed and distraught and that are depressed and that are taking out their frustrations on their children or on their spouses and then killing themselves. What about all those numbers?